reduction is a shared mission for humanity, and volunteerism serves as a bridge connecting youth to global development. At this thematic forum, 10 distinguished guests from different countries and sectors will share their insights and practical experience on volunteerism and poverty reduction. China Agricultural University established its first science and technology backyard in 2009, organizing faculty members and students to live and work in villages alongside farmers to help them solve farming-related challenges. On May 3, 2023, General Secretary Xi Jinping sent a reply letter to students of the Science and Technology Backyard at China Agricultural University, pointing the way forward for leveraging science and technology to promote rural revitalization. Next, please welcome Mr. Wang Yong, Deputy Secretary of the Party Committee of China Agricultural University, the university that initiated the Science and Technology Backyard program. Welcome.
Honorable officials, dear guests, young friends from the world, good morning. It's my great pleasure to join you in this midsummer of 2026 in the heroic city of Wuhan. At present, the collective rise of the Global South is underway. However, poverty reduction remains a shared challenge for humanity. President Xi Jinping pointed out that the rise of the Global South is a distinctive hallmark of the great changes in the world. In this transformation, youth remains a strong force. China Agricultural University keeps in mind General Secretary Xi Jinping's entrustment. Since 2019, we have been contributing to winning the battle against poverty. To 2023, the Sci-Tech Backyard participating students have made great efforts, and then to 2025, the 120th anniversary of our university, we have also received another letter. These 3 letters from President Xi, spanning 6 years, pointed out way for us to our participation in poverty reduction and government's improvement through volunteerism. Today, as a Chinese educator, I want to make our own reply to the question that when Chinese youth plant their feet firmly in the soil and write their own chapter, what kind of contribution can we make to poverty reduction? First, rooted in soil, forging the soul, and an innovative educational mode in Sci-Tech Backyard. In 2029, in our experiments in Quzhou, Hebei, we were attracted by one phenomenon. Wheat yield in experimental station reached 900 gen or 450 kilogram, but just across the wall, farmers' yield was only 600 gen. So the barrier, or this wall, is because of the dislocation with science and technology. So how to demolish this wall? General Secretary Xi Jinping has given us the answer. We need to understand the fact, and our solution is simple: climb over the wall and live inside. Since 2009, led by academician Zhang Fusuo, faculty and students packed their bags and moved into the villages and get into close contact with the farmers and science and technologies. So the Sci-Tech Backyard was born. While living there, can we be really volunteers? So we stay in the villages for at least 120 days per person, and every student write over 100 journals each year. So we are not passers-by. We have returned home. So we are all rounders. We engage in technical consulting services and also soil testing and pest control. We are also teachers. For the schools, we help break the disintegration cycle of poverty, and we also help village governance. So this kind of volunteer service is the strongest force. And now the Sci-Tech Backyard cover over 30 provinces and 150 counties. And the China Agricultural University directly operates 233 of them. We write our thesis in the fields and plant our aspiration in the heart of the farmers. Second, blood making and heart nourishing. So we need sentiment, but poverty reduction must ultimately be judged by results. On the medium and low yield saline alkali land on Quzhou, Hebei, the Thematic backyard created a miracle of a green 1.5 ton grain. And we have achieved the yield growth by 42%. And our results were published in Nature, which affects 20 million farmers and 560 million mu of land. We have increased yield by 11.2%, reduced the fertilizer use by 15.6%, and improved the efficiency by over 30%. What made all this possible? Not a single demonstration, but long-term, standardized, tangible, and diffusible way into local production system. With the synergy of science and technology, at Ehai Lake in Yunnan, we work with 30 universities to protect the natural environment, but also improve farmers' income to break the poverty reduction trap of protection equals losses. From individual to joint operation, we have unleashed the multiplier effect of volunteer service. This practice has highly been recognized by the nation and internationally. And this has been written in the 2024 and 2025 Central #1 documents and received the various national progress awards, and the FAO has promoted as a typical case to 192 member states worldwide. We have proven with facts that the hard standard for volunteerism can contribute to poverty reduction, and this backyard endeavor has helped the technology organization capability of the villages. And third, teaching, fishing, and win-win. China's poverty reduction experience belongs to the world. In response to President Xi's important instructions at the China-Africa Cooperation Forum, the SciTech Backyard special program was launched, introducing the 1+1+1 3-year 3-stage model. International students first come to China can learn about the knowledge and practice of the backyard model and return home in the following year to participate in local practices and return to China in the 3rd year for further summary and improvement, so that learning in China and application locally can be combined. The results are remarkable. In Malawi, the backyard model has doubled corn yield in 25 villages, solving hunger problem in 12 villages. And spokesperson Hua Chunying has praised these practical measures, and the former president of Malawi called for learning of this model. And now, 8 overseas backyards in countries such as Malawi, Tanzania, Brazil, Thailand, and Kazakhstan can be found. In the next step, we will focus on implementing the backyard plan, and also relying on the free trade port of Hainan. We will try to continue the agricultural hub both home and abroad. And to 2030, we'll establish an overseas science-tech backyard network covering major agricultural ecozones, so that the Chinese agricultural equipment standard services can go global. And this model can be a South-South cooperation recognized by the FAO. Dear friends, solving the hardship of people is one of the important models of the China Agricultural University, and also a starting point for our efforts. The SciTech backyard is very small. It can be just simple bungalows at the village entrance, but it leads to a distant future. It is a grand stage of revitalization, great course, and also the carrier for building a community with a shared future for mankind. Just as General Secretary Xi has hoped, New Era Chinese youth should have this spirit of seeking out hardship. So the spirit is not shouted out, is being forged day by day by our footsteps on the ground. The China Agricultural University is willing to work with global youth to make this backyard model into a public good, and to reduce poverty for mankind, and also to build a community of a shared future for mankind. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Wang, for your wonderful sharing. By writing theses on the land and rooting youth in the fields, the science and technology backyard model has provided a vivid example of how science and technology can empower poverty reduction. Next, please welcome Ms. Julia Kopf, National Secretary of the Youth Wing of the Workers' Party of Brazil, to share her presentation on practice and insights from community-based poverty reduction volunteer service in Brazil. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Ni hao. For decades, inequality in Brazil was treated as an inevitable fate, as if poverty were a natural condition for our country, something to be managed, not overcome. For many years, those who held the power to change this chose instead to preserve a system that made the rich richer and the poor poorer. This was no accident. Brazil was the last country in Americas to abolish slavery, and it did so without granting rights or dignity to those it had enslaved, deepening poverty and entrenching inequality. But in 2026, we stand in a different place, built by the courage of those who came before us and by determination of a generation that refuses to accept that poverty is something inevitable. Our future cannot wait for the next election cycle or the next moment of political goodwill. That's why we, as young people, cannot wait. This urgency does not paralyze us. It has to move us forward. In 2003, on this first day of office, President Lula da Silva launched the program Zero Hunger. Lula, a man who knew hunger on his own childhood, understood that no country can prosper while part of its peoples do not know where the next meal will come from. Hunger is not just a stomachache, is the theft of dignity, of potential, of the very ability to imagine a different life. It acts on many fronts at once: jobs and income, family farming, so that food reached people's tables and not only export ports, and social rights. And it proved something fundamental. When the state places the poorest at the center of the public budget, reality begins to change. The other program, Bolsa Familia, consolidated this strategy, transferring income to the most vulnerable families while keeping their children in school and in good health, breaking the intergenerational circle of poverty. The results speak for themselves. Between 2003 and 2014, extreme poverty fell from 25% to less than 5%. 28 million people overcame hunger in Brazil, was removed from the United Nations hunger map, becoming a global reference in fight against poverty. But these are not only numbers, they are families who can finally sleep knowing their children will eat the next day. Income alone, however, does not transform lives. Public investment in health and education is what sustains the process, what allows a child to born in vulnerability the same opportunity as any another. We saw this during COVID-19 pandemic. Decades of investment in public universities, in the United Health System, and institutions such as Oswaldo Cruz Foundation. When President Lula assumed his third term in 2023, he found a country that had regressed as the height of people in pandemic. That meant expanding Bolsa Familia to 20 million families and reopening fiscal space for social investment. It meant returning to growth with one of the lowest unemployment rates in years, and for the first time in decades, confronting the extreme concentration of income at the top, exempting from income tax who earn up to 5,000 reais a month, while 140,000 of very highest earners begin to contribute more. It also meant defending decent work, because growth cannot mean exhaustion and denial of the rest for million workers. And here we reach the point that concerns us most directly. In 2024, the government launched the program Pé de Meia, like nest egg. Born from a simple truth: millions of young Brazilians do not abandon school for the lack of will, but because they are forced to choose between studying and surviving. The program creates a savings fund for public high school students with deposits throughout their studies and a reward for those who complete basic education in time. But it goes beyond this money. When the state creates real conditions for young people to stay at school, it affirms that no national project is sustainable if its youth is kept from dreaming. And building on the same commitment to our youth, my colleague here, Florentino, will speak next about our newest program for youth volunteerism, a concrete invitation for young people to take part today in transforming our country. I want to leave you with 3 reflections here. First, the reduction of poverty in Brazil has never been a work of change. It happens when there is political will and public commitment to reducing inequality. Second, there is no lasting social justice without confronting structural inequality. A democratic society cannot be built while those who have less keep paying proportionally more and wealth remains protected. And third, and most important, this concerns us. The future of this story will not be decided only in governments or parliaments. It depends mostly on our generation's willingness to understand its historical role and to defend where no one goes, a world where no one goes hungry, where quality education is not a privilege, and where the future ceases to be the right of a few and becomes a real possibility for all. Our generation may not have inherited a country of equality, but inherited awareness, organization, and the chance to change the course of history. And the responsibility is now ours. The future begins now. Thank you very much. 谢谢.
Thank you, Ms. Julia. Different countries, the same original aspiration. Volunteer service is becoming a common language for global poverty reduction. Next, please welcome Professor Ding Yuanzhu from the Party School of the CPC Central Committee, who will share his insights on China's path to poverty alleviation governance. Welcome.
尊敬的各位领导、各位来
Distinguished
宾，
officials and guests,
大家上午好。
good morning.
非常荣幸有这样一个机会，跟
It
在座
gives me
的各
great
位一
pleasure
起来
together with you
研讨
to
这个
talk
全球
about the important
这个
topic
脱贫呀，
on
还有
poverty
这样的发
alleviation
展这样
and
一个重大课题
eradication.
来之前呢，我一直在想，
Before this,
就
I
我
was
们
thinking,
有什么跟中外
what
朋
should
友
I
一起交
share
流的？
with our young
我想了
friends?
2个问题啊，今
Two
天跟
things
大
on my
家
mind, perhaps.
交流和报告一下。这个一个是呢，
First,
怎么来理解
how to
中国在
understand
过去的
China's
几十年
practice in the，
特别是
past
党的18
decades,
大以来，
particularly after the
在扶贫
18th
领域
National
中
Congress
取
in
得的
poverty
重要成
alleviation.
就。
What are the
我们有什
major
么样的
achievements?
方案，
What are
什么样
the
的智慧
plans,
是来
solutions
自
we
各
could
国的朋友
provide
一
to
起来
share
交流，
with young
我们
friends
自己一
around
起
the
来怎么
world?
总结。那么第二，青年朋友们在
For
这场
youth,
伟大的运动中
in
也
this
发挥了
great
非常重要的作用。
undertaking,
那
you
么
play very
中国
important
青年
roles.
在
And for
征
Chinese
服啊，
youth,
在扶贫中
in
都发
poverty
挥了哪些重要
alleviation,
作用？哪
what
些经
kind
验
of roles
值得
Chinese
我们
youth
去
have played and what are the
去这个
experiences
总结
could be
我
shared?
想一个是要深刻的领悟
First, you
这个
have
习
to
近平总书记
understand
关于
President Xi Jinping's
脱
thoughts
贫
on
扶
poverty
贫重要思
alleviation
想
eradication.
它的深刻要义。我在学习的过程中，我是有这么6点
There are
认识。一
6
个是呢，
understandings
这
while I
个
was
习近
learning
平总书记
about
关
it.
于扶贫
First of all,
脱
on
贫工
poverty
作，
alleviation
他
and
强调
eradication,
了坚持党的
President Xi
全面
Jinping
领导，
emphasized
它是
overall
实现
leadership
脱贫
of the
扶贫
party,
的根本保障。
which is the
因为
basic
中国
foundation of
特
everything.
色社会主义的根本
For
基本属
socialism with
性
Chinese
是坚持中国
characteristics,
共产党
the
的领导。
fundamentals is the party
习近平
leadership.
总书记在2002年
In
到浙江工作
2002,
以后，经过
in his
118
work
天的
in
调研，
Zhejiang through
他提出了一个
118
1000
days
万工
of
程，就是1000个
research,
村
he proposed
实现
this
富裕，
particular 1,000
1万个
village
村
project.
实现整治， 然后发挥4级书
10,000
记，
village
从省委书记到
upgrade
地市委书记到县委
and
书
then he
记，
became
4
secretary
级
at
书
county
记的作
level,
用。
at city level,
那
and play
20年
important
的实
roles.
践，
20
从
years
20
experience
世
have
纪初
shown
期
that
一代接着一代干。
one generation after another have
2024
been
年
passed on.
中央1号文件
2024,
就明确
an
的
important document from
提
central
出
government specified
要把
that
千万工程
for this
作为新时
10,000
期推
village
动农村发展
upgrade、project,
推动乡村振
it
兴
is a
的
demonstrative
重要经验
project、
重
for
要样
rural
本。
rejuvenation,
这个它其中包含
revitalization,
了非常
which
丰富的经
include
验。第二
a
呢，
lot of
这个习
experiences.
近平总书记他明
And
确的
second,
强调，脱
President Xi
贫攻坚
Jinping pointed
过
out
程
that
中一个不也不能少。
in the process,
这
poverty
体现了中国共
alleviation,
产党的
no one
根
should
本
be left
宗旨，
behind.
就是为中华民族谋复兴，
This is
为
the
中国
basic
人民谋
mission
幸
of
福
the
这样一
party
个基
to
本
seek
的宗
better
旨。
lives for the
第
people.
三，
Third,
他明确了
he
精
specified
准扶
that
贫是
targeted
制胜的
poverty
法宝。
alleviation
总
as
书
the
记
winning
创造
strategy.
性地提出精准扶贫的
He
基本要
critically
求，
put forward
明
targeted
确了
poverty
具体的路径，
alleviation,
就
pointing
是
out
既
specific pathways,
不搞大水漫灌，搞这个精准滴灌，
development,
从这个
but
输
more
血型
precise
到
and
造血
targeted
型这样的一种
approach
扶贫方式，这是对
for poverty alleviation,
我认为对我们全球推
which
进扶
is
贫的工作是一个重要的，
very
提供了重要的
important
方法论和中国的智慧。
as
那
a
第四
guiding
呢，明
principle.
确提出开发扶贫是鲜明特色。
Fourth, he
习近平
proposed
总书
that
记讲，
development-oriented
发展是
poverty alleviation
解
is
决
the
问题的
defining feature.
关键。新
Development
时
as
期
the
我们党
fundamental
的核心任
solution
务，
to
中国
poverty,
共产党的核心任务，
cultivating
就是要
industries
通过
tailored
高
to
质量
local
发展
conditions,
来实现现代化。
find a way
同样，我们在扶贫过
for
程中要
Chinese
坚持
modernization
以发展
and
来
poverty
解决
alleviation
贫困问题。
based on
那么
local
在进一步的
conditions.
发展过程中，以发展来实现乡
So
村振兴。
development
那
is
第
the
六点，
path
我觉得可
ahead
以
for
跟中
rural
外朋友跟国际朋友
revitalization.
交流的就是习近平总书记关于
President
这个
Xi's
扶贫脱贫的思想，
guiding principle
他
on
提
poverty
出了要
alleviation
明确
proposed
就
that
治和扶贫的这个结合，就脱贫致富贵在励志，贵在
commonwealth,
通过这
determination,
个知识、智慧
knowledge
来实现扶贫。我们都知道
are the
中国是现代
foundation
化
to achieve
是五位
poverty
一体，
alleviation.
其中文化建设是非常重要的内容。另外呢，
On
文
the
化
other
建设
hand,
也是新时期我们
in a
推
new
动
era,
高质量发展、
to enhance quality
提升民
development
生水平的
and
重要
enhancing
内容
people's well-being,
通过激发内生动力，摆脱
drive
贫
them
困
in，
实现发
internal
展的这
drivers to get
个
rid
有
of
保障
poverty
性。
in
第
order
六
to
呢，
achieve
习近
development,
平总书记在
sustain development.
推动
So building
脱
resolve
贫
intelligence
工作
is
的
very
过程
important
中反
in
复
this
强调
endeavor.
要
Six,
推动全社
power
会的
of
参与，
society
也强调
participation was
志愿
also
服务是社会
advocated.
文明的重要标志。所
Volunteerism
以发挥
is important
集中
symbol
力量
of
办大
social
事，这是中国
civilization.
社会主义特色，也是我们的
Leveraging
制
the
度
socialist
优势。
system's
通过构建
advantage
大扶
to
贫格局
mobilize
东部
resources.
东西部协作，定
There
点
are
扶贫，
projects available
来推
including
动
East-West
我们
cooperation,
这个新时期
galvanizing
的
group
现代化，实现
participation,
全体人民的共同富裕。我
and
记得我
forming
前年
synergy
在
among
新
all
疆调研，新疆的朋友
multi-stakeholders
就跟我
to
说，
really
说
achieve
我
poverty
们现在的
alleviation.
基础设施，我们现在的服
Infrastructure is
务
also
因为
very
是我们是
important
东西
foundation.
东西这个支援嘛，那么我们这个对口的是我们湖北的一个市，他就讲啊，湖北对我们
One
的
of
支
my
持非
colleagues
常大。
shared with
所以
us
我们的基
the
础设施的水
experience
平，
of
我们的
paired
这个各项
assistance
各类
in
服务都
Hubei,
取得很好的成就。所以
helping them
我
with the
想我们就
infrastructure
在这个扶贫的
capacity
过程
building.
中，有
So paired
我
up
自己学习
system
有
is
这么
also
6
very
条经验
important，
跟在座
to
的
the success of poverty
各位朋友
alleviation
来
in
交流
China.
去学习总是体会吧。那么第二就
A
是
more
中国今
advanced
年在
region paired
推
up
动
with
参与扶贫中
remote
的
and
重要经
impoverished
验。
region.
因为在这个脱贫攻坚的伟大斗争中，
In the
中国青
endeavor
年
of
以
poverty
实际行动
alleviation,
来践
Chinese
行了
youth with their
青春
concrete
誓言
actions。
我有这么
are
几点，
making
一个就是坚持思想
commitments
引领，来筑牢青春信仰。
These are the
青年
four
一代，我
highlights.
们的青年
First,
人
to
深入学习
strengthen
习近平
political
总书记的
commitment
减
of
贫思
young
想，
people,
深刻认识脱贫攻
understands
坚在志愿服务在新时
the
期发展中
importance
的
of
重要作
poverty
用。
alleviation.
它彰显了我们社会主义制度的优越性， 那么我们许多青年同志呢，
So
我们
many
觉得志愿者
youths
在这个过程中
through
也确
volunteer
实是
work
践行了初心使命。
have
第二，
really
有意
stayed
精
true to
准
their
实
aspiration
干
and
过硬的
fulfill their
本领，参与
obligations.
到扶贫过程。去年
Second,
我也参
youths
加
have
了这个
developed practical
我们
skills.
叫送教，到革命老区送教。我
Last
们
year,
们单位有6个
I
同志
visited
在
a
那儿
remote area
参
as
加
well.
这个乡村振兴的活动，有担任县委副书记的，也有担任第一书
6
记。
of my
其中一
colleagues
位那个第一
also
书记就
involved
跟我讲，
in
他
poverty
匆匆忙忙的
alleviation.
来了，他说
One
那个
secretary told
非常
me
抱
that
歉，丁老师，这个我只能跟你见一面，因为我现在负责村里的
he
无
was
人
in
机
charge of
无人
the
机的
poverty
这个工作，
alleviation.
因为
More
在
than
山区里面
that,
好多产品送不
technology
出来，
advancement
好
as
多东
well.
西运不过去。
Drones
那我又是
were
学人工智
used
能的，
as a new
这个所以
tool
我现
to
在慢慢
send
的就
their
帮着这个村子
local
把无人
produce,
机
particularly
的
agriculture
运输
produce,
给
to
它
the
这条线
outside.
建起来了。因为今天呢，深
So
圳来
drone
了个
transportation
朋
is a
友，
new
来了
project,
一个
quite
企业要跟我
interesting.
们谈进一步的合作，所
They
以
were
他后来
collaborating
就
with
回去了，
Shenzhen's
回去
AI company
谈
for
这个工
this.
作了。所以新时期啊，志愿
So in the
服务
new
也好
era,，
青年服务于我们的这个扶贫
There are
和进一
different
步的推动乡村振
means
兴。
for poverty
要
alleviation
发挥
through
有过
science
硬
and
的本领。当然，
technology.
我们过去在扶贫过程中已经很好的发
Skills
挥了
and
过硬
experiences
的
are
本
very
领，但是
important,
呢
of，
面临着
course.
新一轮的产业革命、新一轮的
With
技
the
术革
new
命，我
round
们
of
怎么
science
来
technology
进一步提
revolution?
升？你比如
How to
说，我最近
upgrade
做了研究
that?
报告
How
哈
to，
这个跟大家分享
really。
在我就
leverage
研
all
究
the
在全
resources,
球的
science
这
and
个人
technology
工
is
智能发展
important
过程
tool
中
we could，
活跃在
leverage
人
for
工智
sure.
能这个社区里面的，我们
In
到底有
today's
多少志愿者
AI？
来，我算了一下，有1200万，其中中国有
We have a lot of
180万
volunteers
活跃在开源社
also
区。
very
那
active
么，在这个开源社区的志愿者
using
怎么
AI
用技
tools
术，怎
in
么用
open
这个新时代的福音思想
sources
来
using science and technology
来解决好
to
数字鸿沟
resolve，
我觉得都
the
是新
digital
情况、新任
divide
务。
and other issues.
那第
These
三呢，
are
我觉得
new
我们可以
conditions and new
交流和分享的
tasks.
经验，就是以开拓
Another
创新来激
experience
发
I'd
内生
like
动
to
力。
share
青
is
年志愿
to
者通过
stimulating
互联网
internal
啊，
drivers
开发了
through innovation
这
and
个什么
pioneers.
电商、
For
电
example,
商啊
young
各种渠
volunteers
道来
launched
销售，
e-commerce
从教
poverty
育，还有
alleviation
从文化
programs.
从各个方
New
面，
ways
在
include live
扶贫
streaming
过程中，
e-commerce,
特别是在未来的这个乡
educational
村，在当前的
assistance,
乡村振兴中发挥作用。
promoting
这确
rural
实是我们
technology adoption.
我觉得我们志愿服务、我们青年工作需要研究的一个新情
These are
况、
some
新
of the
领域，尤其是
new
当前
arenas
在
for
新一轮的
volunteerism
产业革命过程中，我们
for
有
use.
现在8400万的新兴领域的就业者和活跃在新
New
兴
jobs
领域
have
的
been
各类人员
created.。
那么这个领域的志愿服务，这个领域的青
Volunteerism
年
in
工
these
作怎
emerging
么做？比如说
industries
8400万的
are also on the
新就业
rise.
群体，基本都是大部分是青年人。
We have
所以把
about
志愿服务、把青年工作推到这个
million
领域
jobs，
这也是
in
新时
this
期党的
new
社会
emerging
工作的重要内容。
industries.
新民主同志强调，
President Xi stressed the
新时代的
importance
社会工
that
作
in
要
the
走
new
好中
era
国特色社会主义治
we
理
have
之路，
to
重
fight the
点在
governance
新兴领
approach,
域啊。那第四呢，坚持
particularly
攻坚
focusing
克难，
on
彰显责任
emerging
担当。
industries.
我们的青年
Fourth,
通过突
demonstrating
击队啊，
responsibility,
在攻坚克难的过程中，
challenges.
反复在
The youth are always at the
进入产
forefront
业，进入到各个领域，做好各种工作，
in various
帮助群众
industries.
稳得住就业，能够逐步的致富。第五呢，继续奋斗，
Fifth,
推
advancing
进
rural
乡村振兴。
revitalization.
党的20届
through
四中全会
continuous
明确的
efforts.
提出，乡村振兴、
Rural
农村发展
revitalization
是中国共产党在
is the
15时期的
fundamental
重中之重。
task
实现农
for
村
the
现代化，
15th five-year
农村
plan
农业现
for
代
central
化
government
是
to
15时
realize
期的
modernization
重大任务。
of rural
在新的
areas
时
is
期
also，
我们青
a
年
major task for the
同
15th
志还有
five-year plan,
我们青年志愿者
which
如
rely
何
on
在这个
youth contribution
乡村现代化、农业现代化过程中，
in the
更好的发挥
modernization path,
技
how
术
to
引领，
better
推动新一
leverage
轮的
science
革命。
technology,
那我觉得这
seize
是
the opportunity
新
of
情
the
况
new，round
也是
of
新任务。习
science
近
and
平同志
technology
说啊，
revolution is the
科学
new
技术从来没有像今天这
urgent
样
task
影响着
in
国家
front
的
of
前途
us.
和命运，
President Xi said
影响着
that
人民的生活和福祉。
unprecedentedly, science
所以呢，
technology
我觉得
is
我们
exerting a profound
在
impact
扶贫
on
过程
people's
中
well-being
取得了巨大
and
的成就，
society's
有很多的
advancement.
经验可以跟国际的朋友交流。但是我们在 进一步的发展过程中，还有更多的
There are
新情况、
still
新任务
challenges.。 new
去
tasks,
努力
new
去奋斗啊！
conditions
谢
which
谢大家。
require our joint efforts. Thank you very much. That concludes my remark.
Thank you, Professor Ding. For an in-depth explanation of the core and sense of General Secretary Xi Jinping's thought on poverty alleviation and your highly concise summary of the practical experience of Chinese youth in participating in poverty alleviation governance. Next, please welcome Mr. Fuad Jina Bunei, President of the Ethiopian Youth Council, who will speak on the latest practice in youth volunteer service in Africa. Welcome.
你好. Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen. It's a profound honor and privilege to address this gathering and to join youth leaders, policymakers, development partners, and friends and colleagues from across the world in discussing a subject that is not only important for our generation, but essential for the future of humanity: volunteerism and poverty reduction. At the outset, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to all China Youth Federation for convening this remarkable forum and for its unwavering commitment to promoting the youth development, international solidarity, and people-to-people cooperation. Today, I bring you a warm greetings from Ethiopia, a nation with one of the youngest population in the continent Africa, and a country where volunteerism is increasingly becoming a powerful instrument for development, social cohesion, and peace building. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world facing unprecedented challenges. More than 70 million people continue to live in extreme poverty. Millions of young people struggle with unemployment, inequality, climate-related shocks, displacement, and conflict across the globe. Yet, at the same time, our world possesses its greatest resource. It is the young people, not oil, not mineral, not technology, but the young people. The largest generation of the youth in human history is alive today. The real question before us is not whether the young people can contribute to the development. The real question is whether we create enough opportunities for them to lead it. For Ethiopia, one of the answers has been volunteerism. Volunteerism transforms compassion into action, and it transforms the useful energy into measurable development outcomes. When you see Ethiopia, volunteerism is not merely an act of service. It is an investment in the human capital. It develops leadership, strengthens social responsibility, creates pathway to employment, and empowers young people to become active contributors to the national development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, volunteerism is not new to us, for Ethiopians. For centuries, we have practiced traditions of mutual support, collective responsibility, and community solidarity. Whether helping neighbors during harvest seasons, supporting vulnerable families, or mobilizing communities during times of crisis, volunteerism has always been part of our social fabric. However, in the recent years, Ethiopia has transformed this cultural value into a national development movement. Since the national reform process launched in 2018 under the leadership of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, volunteerism has gained unprecedented momentum and visibility. His Excellency, our Prime Minister Abiy, consistently emphasized a simple but transformative principle. If we nurture the value of service in the young people, we can transform the country. This vision resonates deeply with the millions of the young people in Ethiopia. The young people do not merely listen to this message. They embraced it, they followed it, and they transformed it into an action. When began as a call for service, evolved into a nationwide movement of youth engagement, community action, and nation building. The Ethiopian experience demonstrates that when government trusts the young people rise to the challenge. In 2020 only, in 2020, Ethiopia launched the National Volunteer Community Service Program under the leadership of the Minister of Peace to strengthen the national unity, social cohesion, and the youth participation in development. This initiative has since mobilized approximately around 40 million young Ethiopians across the country. Thousands of trained volunteers have been deployed to the community throughout Ethiopia, serving in education, environmental protection, peace building, public awareness, social support, and community development initiatives. More than 75,000 young youth volunteers have completed structured service deployments across different regions of the country. The result extended far beyond the numbers. The young people from different regions, cultural, languages, and backgrounds have lived, worked, and served together. Volunteerism has therefore become more than a development tool. It has become a bridge for the national unity, a platform for the intercultural understanding, and a mechanism for peace building. In one recent year alone, volunteer service initiatives generated development activities valued at hundreds of million birr, Ethiopian birr, while mobilizing hundreds of thousands of citizens for community improvement, environmental rehabilitation, and social support activities. This demonstrates a powerful reality. Volunteerism creates values, social value, economic value, and peace value. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the connection between volunteerism and poverty reduction is often underestimated. Poverty is not the absence of income. It is the absence of opportunity. It is the absence of skills. It is the absence of networks. It's the absence of hope. Volunteerism helps address each of these dimensions. It equips our young people with practical experience. It strengthens their employability. It expands access to service. It builds social trust, and it empowers community to solve local challenges with local solutions. A young volunteer who teaches literacy contributes to education. A young volunteer who plants trees contributes to the climate resilience. A young volunteer who supports vulnerable families contributes to the social protection. A young volunteer who promotes peace contributes to the stability and development. Each act of service becomes building block for the sustainable development. Distinguished participants, the sustainable development goals cannot be achieved by the governments alone, not by international organizations alone, nor by the private sector alone. The SDG require active citizens, and active citizens begin with engaged young people. Young people must no longer be viewed merely as beneficiaries of development. They must be recognized as partners, innovators, and co-creators of development. This requires investment in volunteer infrastructure, youth organizations, digital volunteering platforms, civic engagement programs, leadership development, and international cooperation. Most importantly, it requires trust. Trust is trust in the creativity of the young people, trust in their leadership, and trust in their ability to shape the futures. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude with a reflection from Ethiopia's experience. The futures of nation is not built solely through policy. It's built through participation. It's built through meaningful engagement. It's built when the young people choose service over indifference, unity over division, action over apathy, hope over despair. The Ethiopian experience has taught us a simple lesson. When the youth are empowered, they become leaders. When the youth are trusted, they become a nation builders. When the youth are mobilized, they become a force capable of transforming societies. Let us therefore continue to invest in volunteerism. Let us continue to invest in the young people, because when we invest in the youth, we invest in the peace. When we invest in peace, we invest in prosperity. And when we invest in prosperity, we are building a more inclusive, sustainable, and hope future for all. Shishu, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fad Jinabone, for your wonderful sharing. The resilience and sense of responsibility demonstrated by African youth give us confidence in a bright future for the global cause of poverty reduction. Next, Please welcome Ms. Zhang Nan, Head of the United Nations Volunteers Country Coordinator in China, who will deliver a keynote speech titled Synergistic Development of Global Volunteerism and Poverty Reduction. Welcome.
Honorable Vice President Wang Yi and Director Liu Xuerong, distinguished guests, young friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be a part of the 2026 Youth Development Forum and also to participate on this special session on volunteerism and also poverty reduction on behalf of the organizer and also the United Nations Volunteer Organization. I want to extend my warm greetings and highest respect to all of you. So the year 2026 has been designated by the UN General Assembly as the International Year of Volunteers for Sustainable Development. The President of the 80th session of the General Assembly emphasized that global volunteers play a irreplaceable role in advancing sustainable development. Today I want to share my observation from four perspectives. First, the global force of volunteerism is being reshaped and reorganized. The UNV I work for was founded in 1970. Since its very launching, it has regarded the participation of youth in humanitarian activities, in peace, development, and also post-disaster recovery as our responsibility, and they bear great significances. In the past decades, the scale of our cooperation has been ever expanding. According to the report of 2025, we mobilized a record-breaking number of volunteers by 17,169, serving 182 countries and regions. And they have been providing service in 59 UN entities in 172 countries and regions, an increase of 17% compared to the year 2024. And in terms of gender equality, women stand for about 60% of all volunteers, and in inclusiveness, we have absorbed 325 disabled or handicapped people from around the world, so in 24 UN entities. So behind these numbers, we can see an increasingly inclusive and equitable global volunteer system. What's more worth noting is that we have been working with the International Labour Organization and issued a report on the volunteerism worldwide in 2026, which provided the latest figure. According to the figure, about 2 billion people worldwide participate in volunteer programs, accounting for about 34.5% of working age population. Among them, informal volunteer service stand for 25%, while Africa stands at number 1 with a participation of 58.5%. So volunteering is not only a part of development, but also a way to build social synergy and resilience, out of which youth play an increasingly important role. According to the UN, poverty reduction not only means the increase in income, but also the access of opportunities and also the basic services. And volunteers play an irreplaceable role in this process. Using China as an example, the UNDP and all its partners have initiated the Movers for Climate program. In 2025 alone, we mobilized 100 online volunteers and hundreds of offline volunteers. We have been conducting climate education and development education in underdeveloped areas and also in improving skills and also capabilities. And in 2025 alone, we have gathered 70,000 local residents and has also had the first major settlement of the UN programs in China. And in northern and coastal areas in Benin, an African country, we have initiated the Resilience Project, supporting women's equality program, empowering women, supporting local community development. This project alone benefited about 1,700 local producers, improving their overall health and well-being and improving their resilience in instability. And I think these two cases show that there are three major channels and pathways to volunteer service and poverty alleviation. First is about addressing the last mile issue, turning macro goals into precise actions. Second, activate the endogenous driving force for community development. And thirdly, help youth to grow amid services and become responsible co-creators and co-developers. In China, we have deepened our cooperation with all parties by strengthening all kinds of initiatives and practices in poverty reduction and sustainable development. Since 2018, the UN Volunteer Organization has been working with the China Young Youth Volunteer Association, and by 2026, under the framework of the China Youth Volunteer Overseas Platform, we have sent about 180 Chinese youth volunteers to 40 countries and regions, and they went to mountains and seas as UN volunteers, and they have participated in the key actions in poverty reduction, education, public health, climate, and other fields, and was greatly recognized by UN agencies. In China itself, UNV has worked with over 20 UN agencies and Chinese partners in China, and participated in practices in agriculture, clean energy policy advocacy, and other fields, whether it's the training of women in pastoral areas of the Chinese plateau to learn renewable energy technologies. We're carrying out poverty reduction in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. Chinese volunteers are using their actions to participate in the global South-South cooperation and global development. Looking into the future, we are looking forward to have closer cooperation based on these frameworks and strengthen our cooperation with related parties. In this background, UNV has proposed three major directions. First, we call on countries around the world to accentuate and recognize the contribution and values of volunteers. And secondly, we hope that volunteer services can be integrated into the strategic plan of national development. And thirdly, we hope to establish more comprehensive policies, funding, and support system for volunteers. Regarding these objectives, I want to put three proposals for development. First, we need to strengthen data-driven efforts. We should make full use of the 2026 report in terms of the global volunteer situation, especially the volunteer participation index, to measure the value of volunteer services. And second, I hope and call on more opportunities for youth participation through more professional training, systematic organization, and international platforms, so that youth volunteers can be a major force with the most vitality in poverty reduction. Thirdly, I'm looking forward to more international cooperation, using the International Year of Volunteers and South-South cooperation as opportunities to promote the sharing of the international experiences and also to share China's experience in e-commerce, industry, education, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, just as Vice President Wang Yi has just mentioned, there's an old Chinese saying goes, when strength is exerted, there's no victory that cannot be achieved. At the UNV, we also believe that although the way is long and winding, if we keep walking, we will eventually reach our goal. And this is exactly the core of our spirit. And UNV is looking forward to strengthen our cooperation with the Association of Volunteers of China, and also to work with global partners to support participation of more youth partners into this initiative. Let's contribute together to the world development and the common future of mankind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang Nan, for your professional insights. In recent years, with the support of the All China Youth Federation, the Chinese Young Volunteers Association has worked closely with the United Nations Volunteer Program to send a large number of outstanding young volunteers to United Nations agencies. We believe that building a global collaborative network for volunteer service will undoubtedly make a positive contribution to advancing poverty reduction. Next, please welcome Professor Robert Larkin of Huazhong Agricultural University, a recipient of the 2025 Chinese Government Friendship Award, who will speak to us on technology, sustainable development, and a world free from poverty. Welcome.
Distinguished guests and dear young friends, good morning. Regardless of discipline, scientists strive to discover new knowledge about the natural world and use this new knowledge to develop products and services that improve human well-being. Therefore, serving society and providing volunteer services to humanity have always been central to the scientific enterprise. Because science possesses the power to solve many of humanity's most pressing challenges, countries around the world invested in scientific research, including developing countries with limited resources. This conviction inspired me deeply after joining Huazhong Agricultural University in July of 2016. Soon after I arrived, I had the opportunity to accompany my colleagues on poverty alleviation and agricultural extension projects. These volunteer efforts ranged from providing educational support in underprivileged communities to developing agricultural training that helped farmers increase crop yields and improve their livelihoods. At the same time, my research at Huazhong Agricultural University has focused on enhancing the value of horticultural crops, contributing to agricultural development and rural prosperity through plant science. These experiences led to the tremendous honor of receiving the Chinese Government Friendship Award in 2025. This award recognizes foreign experts who have made outstanding contribution to China's development and international cooperation. It is among the greatest honors of my professional life. In early 2026, I was further honored to be invited to the Spring Festival Symposium with foreign experts, hosted by Premier Li Qiang. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Chinese government, Huazhong Agricultural University, and all of the colleagues, friends, and students who have supported and encouraged me throughout this journey. Looking back at the history of modern agriculture, the Green Revolution of the 20th century was one of the most successful examples of science serving humanity, saving millions from starvation. Norman Borlaug embodied this spirit, working tirelessly in rural Mexico to develop high-yielding, disease-resistant wheat varieties, transforming Mexico into a wheat exporter. Similarly, Chinese scientist Yuan Longping achieved major breakthroughs in hybrid rice research, making extraordinary contributions to food security in China and worldwide. These scientists demonstrate how research can transform lives when it aligns with the needs of society. Huazhong Agricultural University has long upheld the motto, diligent learning and practical farming, self-development and service to others. The university is committed to bringing scientific innovations from laboratories to fields and making service to agriculture, rural communities, and farmers an essential part of its mission. As a foreign expert, I have experienced this mission firsthand, finding China a brilliant platform to realize personal aspirations and contribute to society. Over the years, my colleagues and I have traveled through former poverty-stricken areas in Hubei, Guizhou, and Yunnan provinces. In villages across Enshi, Huangmei, Bijie, Nujiang, and Baoshan, we worked alongside local officials, farmers, and community members to support rural development initiatives. Together with student teams, we helped farmers promote high-value horticultural crops such as citrus and pears, introducing scientific cultivation practices that improved crop quality and enhanced incomes. What impressed me most was the dedication of the young scientists, working at the grassroots level. They brought their innovations from the laboratory directly to rural communities, and as often said in China, wrote their papers on the land itself. Through their actions, they demonstrated that true value of science in serving society. It's through the collective efforts of scientists, local officials, and farmers that China has succeeded in lifting approximately 8 million people out of poverty over the last 4 decades and completely eradicating absolute poverty. This achievement is widely recognized as one of the greatest accomplishments in human history. I firmly believe that China's success stems not only from technological advancement, but also from its commitment to ensuring that scientific and technological progress benefits ordinary people. Today, we are living in an era of unprecedented technological advancement. Agricultural biotechnology enables us to develop crops that are more productive, nutritious, and resilient. Digital and precision agriculture are bringing artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and big data into the field. Precision agriculture enables farmers to target specific sections of their fields for specialized care, addressing localized problems such as water stress, disease, and nutrient deficiencies. These advances alleviate poverty by dramatically decreasing operational costs and increasing productivity, while modern telecommunications also provides farmers with direct market access. However, alongside digital agriculture and precision agriculture, we must embrace the principles of regenerative agriculture to ensure long-lasting sustainability. Regenerative agriculture promotes practices such as minimizing soil disturbance, protecting soil structure, planting nitrogen-fixing cover crops, diversifying cropping systems, increasing the use of organic fertilizers, and adopting biological pest management and crop rotation. These approaches help restore soil health, strengthen ecosystem resilience, and ensure that agricultural land remains productive for future generations, making past achievements in poverty reduction long-lasting. Dear young friends, every society depends entirely on the energy, creativity, and ambition of its young people, and they are indispensable drivers of social progress, scientific innovation, and sustainable development. Therefore, I would like to call upon young people from all countries to join hands. Let us contribute to global development through scientific volunteer service that promotes agricultural sustainability and rural revitalization. Let us harness the power of youth to build a world that is free from poverty, greener, and more hopeful for future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Robert Larkin, for showing that science and technology know no borders, and friendship warms people's hearts. Since coming to China in 2016, Professor Larkin has been deeply devoted to horticultural education and research, and to poverty reduction through agriculture, interpreting the spirit of international volunteerism through concrete actions. On November 3rd, 2013, General Secretary Xi Jinping visited Shibadong village in Shuanglongtang, Huayuan County, Hunan Province, where he first put forward the concept of targeted poverty alleviation. Next, please welcome Mr. Shi Jintong, Secretary of Party Branch of Shibadong Village, who will share his presentation on the useful answer sheet from the birthplace of targeted poverty alleviation. Thank you. Welcome.
Distinguished Vice President Wang Yi, distinguished young friends, I'm a party secretary and village committee director of Miao Village in Huayuan County, Shaanxi Hunan Province. My name is Shi Jintong. It's my pleasure to share our village story with you. Shibadong village is a Miao ethnic village, once the poorest village in Wolin Mountain region. On November 3rd, 2013, President Xi Jinping visited here, chatted with local Miao ethnic villagers, discussed development plans. For the first time, the important concept of seeking truth from facts, adapting to local conditions, providing targeted poverty alleviation measures was put forward. Over the past decade, we have kept his guidance firmly in mind and forged ahead bravely. As the birthplace of target poverty alleviation, we have shouldered our responsibility and pushed forward rural revitalization. This once poverty-stricken Miao village has turned into one of the world's best tourism villages, serving as a window for the world to see rural modernization. Also, we have received many honors, including National Model Village, National Advanced Grassroots Party Organization, National Civilized Village, and National Best Practice for Poverty Alleviation. Overall speaking, our practices in targeted poverty alleviation can be summed up as 5 areas. First, we combined openness, fairness, and public participation while identifying impoverished households. We created a full set of working methods to screen poor families and set standards for 9 categories of people who would not be selected as impoverished households. The whole process went through 3 rounds of public notice and reviews. Make sure it's fair. Second, we set good examples and offered positive incentives to inspire people to rely on themselves. We launched a star rating system for villagers' conduct and rolled out a point-based reward program. We also held education sessions, honored role models to motivate more villagers to work for better lives. Third, developed profitable industries based on real conditions and local features. We developed 5 major industries: special crop planting, Miao ethnic group embroidery, labor services, rural tourism, and natural spring water industry. With various cooperative models, we link villagers' interests with collective development, help them to increase their income. Fourth, we built sound infrastructure while preserving traditional rural charm and creating pleasant living environments. We brought running water, electricity, roads, safe housing, communication, and environmental improvements to every household. We also renovated old houses, kitchens, toilets, bathrooms, and livestock sheds. Our village keeps its original style. We are becoming clean, beautiful, and comfortable.
With these efforts, our village kept its original style while becoming clean, beautiful, and comfortable. And fifth, we strengthened the village organization and gave full play to the leading role of party members. We built a capable village leadership team and welcomed dedicated work teams and resident cadres to support us, forming a solid grassroots services. We set up 41 mutual aid groups to encourage villagers to help one another, while our families support those in need, and all villages strive for a well-of life together. Generally speaking, in our precision poverty reduction, we have seen great changes taking place in our village over the years. First, the village has taken on a brand new look. We kept the original architectural style while upgrading facilities. Roads, water supply, power lines, houses, tourist facilities, and public services have all been improved. And the old days of poor transport and shabby houses are gone forever. Second, villagers' mindsets have changed greatly. In the past, many villagers relied passively on the government for everything, including building roads, houses, and developing industries. And later, our work teams talked with every single family patiently together with the star rating system and various cultural activities. And we guided villagers gradually and helped them build confidence to get rich through hard work. Third, local profitable industries have become mature. So we have kept in mind the important guidance and instructions to figure out what to grow, what to raise, and how to increase income, we have found a steady way to make money for our 5 core industries, including tourism, homestay, etc. Fourthly, villagers' sense of happiness have risen sharply. We made sure no one was left behind. Villagers' average income has increased several times. Everyone now has adequate food and clothing, as well as guaranteed housing, medical care, and education. And people's daily lives has taken on a new look. And we have also revitalized the traditional cultural festivals by regularly holding them. And fifthly, our development pattern has been completely upgraded. We keep in mind the important instructions by Secretary General Xi in helping neighborhood villages get rich together, moving from prosperity to single village to common development of the whole area. In 2023, we made a joint development plan, leading 7 nearby villages to grow together. And together, the villages jointly set up a company. Now that 300 people work in tourism services and over 200 of them engage in special farming. No one is left behind on the road to common prosperity. So, dear young friends, here I want to share some sincere thoughts with you. Our village has become a window for the world to learn about China's poverty reduction. The targeted poverty alleviation model we explored has also been adapted in resolutions of the United Nations General Assembly. From our story at our village, I want to tell you that poverty is never a fixed fate. As long as we find the right path and work hard, we can overcome any difficulty. I sincerely invite all of you to visit our village of the Miao ethnic group, walk along the stone path, visit the Miao embroidery workshops, and also feel the power of targeted poverty alleviation from villagers' warm smiles. At the birthplace of targeted poverty alleviation, we are setting off on a new journey of rural revitalization. We will keep moving towards the great goal with passion and diligence, writing new chapters on rural development in new era, and let the spirit of the pioneering space shine forever. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Secretary Xi. The transformation of a single village reflects the resolve of an entire nation. The story of Shibadong village is a vivid microcosm of China's poverty reduction miracle. Next, please welcome Mr. Jan Palaes, President of the Polish National Youth Council, who will share Poland's practice in volunteerism and poverty reduction. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jan Palaes. I'm the President of National Youth Council of Poland, the umbrella body that brought together youth organizations across Poland. Let me start with a simple question by a show of hands. How many of you have volunteered? Go on. Okay, thank you. That's a lot of hands. And now keep them up if you volunteered across a border in another country. Exactly. You can see the difference. Many of us volunteer, but far fewer get the chance to do it internationally. That gap between the willingness to contribute and the real willingness, opportunity to do so, is exactly what good systems are designed to close. And that's what I want to talk about today. So let me start with the European perspective. Volunteering in Europe is not a niche activity. More than 92 million adults across the loop, European Union, take part in it. Among young people, a clear majority, around 58%, are active in their societies, and that number has been rising. And roughly 43% have taken part in some activity in another EU country. But here's the thing. I most want you to notice. Those rates vary enormously from country to country. So the interesting question is never simply how much volunteering happens here. The real question is what makes volunteering happen at all? What are the conditions that enable it? That's the lens I'd like us to keep for the rest of this talk. One of those conditions is policy, and Europe has a tool I find genuinely inspiring, the European Youth Goals. There are 11 of them, and the most important thing about them isn't the wording, it's where they came from. They were written by young people themselves through a structured dialogue, and then adopted as official European Union policy. 4 of these goals sit right at the heart of today's theme, inclusion, quality employment and skills, space for youth, and access to youth organizations. These 4 are precisely where volunteering meets poverty reduction, because volunteering builds skills, opens doors to employment, and pulls people into society rather than leaving them at its edges. Now, how does Europe turn this policy into something a young person can actually do? The flagship answer is the European Solidarity Corps. It's the EU's main volunteering program for people aged 18 to 30. One shared mechanism across more than 30 countries. And the scale is real. Over 150,000 participants, more than 22,000 projects, a budget of 1.2 billion euros. But the number that matters most isn't any of those. It's this. The program is free for the volunteer. Travel, accommodation, food, insurance, even language training. All covered. And that single design choice removes the biggest barrier of all, which is money. Because for most people, most young people, the obstacle to volunteering abroad was never motivation, it was the cost. There are 3 ways to take part. Individual volunteering, which is long-term, usually in another country. Team volunteering, a group format that is deliberately built to include young people with fewer opportunities. And solidarity projects, youth-led, rooted in the volunteers' own local community. And the path is simple. You register, you volunteer, and you receive a youth pass. No prior experience is required. It's designed to be accessible. So that's the European layer. Now, let me turn to my own country, because Poland's story is a more honest one. Poland's whole approach can be summed up in one shift. Don't just encourage volunteering, build the infrastructure for it. And behind that sits a dedicated national institution, NIW, Poland's Institution for Civic Society. And let me be honest about where we started. For years, Poland sat near at the bottom of the European Union, with only about 2% of people volunteering regularly. That's not a comfortable statistics to share, but the insight that changed everything was this. The barrier wasn't that Poles didn't want to help. The barrier was that organizations didn't have the capacity to organize and manage volunteers. Willingness was there. Structure was missing. So Poland built 2 programs in response. The first funds volunteering coordinators, the actual people inside organizations who recruit, support, and manage volunteers. The second is a local partnership network. And notice, both programs fund the management of volunteering, not just the activity itself. That's the move I'd most encourage you to take away. Which brings me to the single sentence I'd love you to remember from all of this. Fund the infrastructure, not just the act. And why does this work? It comes down to 3 things. Institutions, a real body with a real budget. Coordinators, capacity, not just enthusiasm, because enthusiasm alone burns out. And the long-term horizon. multi-year mandates, because volunteering ecosystems take years to build, not months. So if I had to compress everything into 3 transferable lessons, they'd be these. First, infrastructure over goodwill. Second, recognition. The skills people gain must count. And third, co-creation. Let young people design the systems they're part of. Now, I don't want to pretend we've solved this. So let me turn it back to you with the 3 honest questions. On funding, much of what I've described rests on big-scale money. What works when you don't have the budget behind you? On inclusion, volunteering skews towards those who already have the most opportunities. How do we reach the young people who are furthest from the system? And on impact, how do we genuinely connect volunteering to measurable poverty reduction outcomes, not just to participation numbers? I don't have complete answers, and I'd honestly love to hear yours from your own national context. Let me close with this. The best part of sharing practices is that we get to borrow each other's ideas and improve on them. So please take whatever is useful here, leave the rest, and make it better than we did. Thank you very much. I'd be glad to connect with anyone who wants to continue the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Yan Plus, for your excellent sharing. The innovative practice of European youth provide diverse perspectives for the global cause of poverty reduction. Next, please welcome Ms. Megan Dobrot, President at the Schiller Institute, who will deliver a keynote presentation titled Youth Volunteer Service, a Bridge Linking Poverty Reduction and Global Development. Welcome.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, youth leaders, friends, I'm honored by the opportunity to be here with you today. There are approximately 8.3 billion people on the planet today. In 2050, we expect to have just under 10 billion. 1/4 of humanity will live on the continent of Africa, where about half of the population will be under 25 years of age. In the words of American founding father Cotton Mather, what an ample field to do good upon. Our challenge at the start of this new era in which the system of neocolonialism is finally ending is to ensure that all nations can undergo the kind of development needed to support all of those people living happy, healthy, long, and productive lives. Urgently needed, therefore, is a development program for the world to provide 1.5 billion new productive jobs in the short term and 3 billion over the next 25 years. That enormous task requires leadership and from young people. A good friend once told me that volunteerism is seeing what must be done and deciding that that is what you're going to do. We must use the next 25 years to completely transform the planet such that within a generation or two, we have eradicated poverty from the planet, relegating it, along with war and pandemics, to a past bygone era of human development. We are the creative species whose nature is absolutely coherent with the creative principle of our universe. That is the source of wealth. And it was the basis of the American economist Lyndon LaRouche's discoveries in the science of physical economy, in which economic value and consequently whether an investment can be considered good or bad is not measured in terms of money or GDP, but in humanity's ability to ensure that the next breakthroughs in science, technology, and culture are made, and the next, and the next, and to apply those breakthroughs to the productive process. We thus increase our power to support more people at an increasing standard of living, a power measured properly by what LaRouche called potential relative population density. In that sense, a healthy economy is an anti-entropic process, reflective of and contributing to the upward evolutionary development of our species, of our planet, and beyond. You see here just a few of the concrete transformative projects which the Schiller Institute has promoted as part of this development perspective. Number one, the Transaqua project, which would divert 30 billion cubic meters per year, 8% roughly of the Congo River's flow, to replenish the depleted Lake Chad, irrigate between 12 and 17 million acres of land, and create 4,000 megawatts of new hydroelectric capacity. Number two, the extended Oasis Plan for Southwest Asia, for the joint development of new water resources through desalination, new canals and irrigation systems, along with rail and power generation, to transform the desert into a lush, productive oasis for the mutual benefit of all. Number three, the Grand Inga hydropower project, to add 40 gigawatts of new hydropower, providing reliable electricity for 50 million people in the surrounding region. And number four, the Bering Strait Tunnel, to join the land masses of East and West over the Bering Strait via a 100-kilometer tunnel. These and the many other great projects we could mention are not just wonders of engineering, although they are. They're a decision which I believe we must make to build the platform which, paired with the many incredible efforts that we've heard about today from our other speakers, will allow us to end poverty forever. Let us build not just infrastructure, but a new, truly human era characterized by the unity of humankind. A new system of security and development in which, for the first time in history, the interests of the one humanity are put first. The volunteerism of young people can be the driving force to bring this new paradigm from the future into the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Megan Dobrot, for your profound insights. Volunteer service transcends national borders and represents a shared value pursued by all humanity. Today, we're honored to have with us a special guest, a young volunteer. He once participated in the Western Volunteer Service Program for college students, serving for 1 year in the Aba, Tibet, and Chiang Autonomous Prefecture in Sichuan Province, and took part in the China Youth Volunteers Overseas Service Program, serving for 6 months in Nepal. After completing his postgraduate studies this year, he resolutely accepted a job in a grassroots unit in Western China. He is Wu Haotian, a representative of the young volunteers at Southern Western University of Finance and Economics. Next, please welcome him to share his speech, Youth Volunteerism, Growing Together with the World. Welcome.
Distinguished guests and dear young friends, good morning. My name is Wu Haotian, a master student from Southwestern University of Finance and Economics, and a volunteer of the College Student Volunteer Service Western Project. Today, I'd like to share my volunteer story with you, from Western China to the Nepal. From August 2023 to August 2024, I embarked on a journey as a member of the 25th of my university's volunteer teaching program, which led me to Lewu No. 2 Primary School in Sichuan. I worked there as an English teacher and assistant to the principal. Upon arriving in this moment, I was met with a sobering reality. I saw children whose potential was locked behind the silence of fear, and whose academic performance lagged significantly behind. To help them not only learn this English, but also enjoy it, I tried to bring the language to life. I turned out the classroom into a small theater. The children act out on daily situation in English, buying things, greeting each other, and introducing themselves. We played word games, sang English songs, and turned every lesson into a moment, which is moment of discovery. 1 year later, the average score of my two classes has increased by 15 points, but numbers were not only changed. What moved me most was seeing the children slowly raise their hands and speak up in the in-class, and find the confidence to express in a language once they felt distant and difficult. At that moment, English was no longer just a subject on their textbooks. It became a window to the wider world, and a bridge between a small mountain classroom and endless possibilities beyond it. For me, that's the first step of poverty alleviation in rural areas, empowering children with education. At the same time, I was responsible for schools' communication and storytelling work. Through the school's official account, I published 30 articles, using words and photos to document the story of education. Together with my two teammates, we reached out to charities. Within 1 year, we helped 97 students from low-income families, received 78,500 RMB in donation. The support helped cover their school fees and provided them with stationery, winter clothes, and other daily necessities. Through these experiences, I truly understand that education is the most fundamental way to break the circle of the intergenerational poverty. This is what rural revitalization looks like on the ground: one child, one family at a time. After finishing my 1-year teaching program, from October 2024 to March 2025, I was selected for the Chinese Youth Volunteer Overseas Volunteering Program. I went to work as a communication and outreach assistant in the United Nations in Nepal. Just like the UNV office, what the same I do with Mr. Zhang. Nepal is one of the least developed countries in Asia. There, I saw firsthand that poverty is a global challenge that requires all of us to work together. My colleagues come from all over the world. Many of them had left behind comfort and the convenience of home to serve local communities. Working with quiet dedication to improve people's lives, I used my skills to record their volunteer stories in healthcare, in children protection, and in environmental protection, spreading those warm stories to the world. That half year in Nepal taught me a lesson I will never forget, that no country can fight poverty alone. Cross-border cooperation is essential. Now, as I'm approaching graduation, I've made a decision. I will go to work in Western China. From mountains of Sichuan to Nepal, and then to the western of my motherland, my steps have never stopped. Dear friends, poverty alleviation is a shared responsibility for humanity. As young people, each of us may only be one normal person, but every sensory effort matters. When our actions come together, they can become a powerful force for change. Let us prove that young volunteers are not just witnesses, but fighters in the global fight against poverty. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Hao Tian, for your sincere sharing. Through your story, we have seen the choices and sense of responsibility of today's Chinese youth. Youth is not only about lofty ideas and aspirations, but also about the mission we carry on our shoulders. The speeches delivered by our distinguished guests combined a theoretical vision that looks to the development of humanity with a practical depth rooted in the real world. They embodied both the crystallized wisdom of tackling tough challenges and guidance for future action, unfolding before us a magnificent picture of how global cause of volunteer service in poverty alleviation is being passed down and continuously advanced. They also have offered valuable experience and insights to help us address poverty reduction challenges through volunteer services. Let us once again give the warmest round of applause to all our speakers. Thank you. Next, we will have an interactive session for the guests and the young friends present the Youth Pioneer Dialogue. We have specially invited Ms. Yang Xinmeng, a journalist from CGTN, China Media Group, and 7 youth delegates. Let's welcome them with a big round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Tianyi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Youth Pioneer Dialogue. My name is Yang Xinmeng. I'm a reporter with CGTN, China Global Television Network. And it's truly a pleasure to have all of you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining. And today we are also joined by 7 extraordinary youth delegates from around the world and working from fields ranging from education and healthcare to public policy, community service, and international development. And they're all united by one thing, a commitment to making a difference through volunteerism and poverty reduction. So please join me in welcoming my guests to the stage. They are Mr. Liu Shaobo, Head of Witness Future Harmony and Cooperation Volunteer Service Team of CSCEC International North Africa. Welcome, Mr. Liu. Mr. Nilson Florentino Jr., Director of Interdepartmental Youth Public Policy at Brazil's Youth Secretariat. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Florentino. And Ms. Anambi Akikazambi, Operations Assistant at the Cameroon Center for Peace Research and Initiative. Welcome. And Mrs. Shan Jingyi, volunteer for the Laos Project under the China Youth Volunteer Overseas Service Program. Welcome, good to see you. And Mr. Jasil Charuvio Kunumal, co-founder of the School for Social Transformation India. Welcome. We also have Mr. Xiao Meibing, Party Branch Secretary of the Great Delivery Man of Gulangyu Express Youth Volunteer Service Team in Xiamen, China. Welcome. Last but not least, please welcome Ms. Debbie Boff, founder of Blackwater Training, Ireland. Welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and please be seated, please. Well, you know, when we talk about poverty reduction, we're not talking about statistics or policy goals. We're talking about real people, real communities, and real opportunities being created. And that kind of change sometimes starts with a classroom reopening, or some starts with access to healthcare, or some starts with a skill, a job, or simply someone willing to help. So for the next hour or so, we'll be exploring how young people are turning compassion into action, how volunteer service can become a powerful tool, a powerful force for sustainable development. Now let's get started. I'd like to invite each of my guests to share your experiences and stories from the front lines of volunteer service and poverty reductions. Why don't I start with you, Mr. Liu? So your team has been combining engineering products with community service across North Africa, providing help for local communities helping them gain skills and opportunities along the way. So in an environment where project deadlines are demanding and culture are diverse, how do you keep young people engaged in volunteer work? And what makes this engineering plus community support model sustainable over the long term?
谢谢主持人。大家好，我是中国建筑。
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, dear moderator. So my name is Liu Shaobo. I have been working in North Africa for 7 years now. It's my great pleasure, together with friends, young friends from all over the world, to introduce our experiences in Egypt regarding volunteerism and also engineering construction. So our company have about 90,000 volunteers carrying out volunteer work in 74 countries and regions in the world. In Egypt, we have a small but beautiful volunteer programs. For 3 years in a row, we have organized the beach cleaning actions in the Mediterranean Sea region, and we have donated tree seedlings and saplings to spread the idea of green development, and we have tailored to the needs of the local community for safety and firefighting and fire control knowledge. These projects, like I mentioned, are very small, but they are very close to the local needs. And because of these small and beautiful projects, people have actually won the value and also recognition and growth, and they have been passing on the goodwills. So it's a very good way to encourage the sustained volunteer work there in North
Thank you so
Africa.
much, Mr. Liu. Exactly, the Belt and Road Initiative is not just about infrastructure connectivity, it's also about building people-to-people bonds. You know, Chinese enterprise operating overseas must not deliver only quality projects, but also benefit local community. And that is actually the essence of sustainable development. Now, Mr. Florentino, let me bring you in. So your platform connects millions of young people across Brazil and reaches communities throughout the country. And, you know, one of the biggest challenges for any national initiative is making sure that support reaches those who need it most. So how do you ensure that those young people from the remote and underserved communities are not left behind? And what do you think is the key to inspire young people rather than simply invite them to participate?
你好，谢谢，Wachi. Hello everyone. Are you asking permission for speaking Portuguese? Because my voice is more beautiful in Portuguese.
Okay.
Bom dia a todos e todas. Eu sou Florentino, da Secretaria Nacional de Juventude. Primeiro agradecer a pergunta.
So my name is Florentino. I'm from the UN Youth Representative Youth. So Brazil has a large territory and a large population. So the biggest challenge right now to ensure that no one's left behind, especially the young people. So our idea is very simple. We are not only working for the community, but we are also working for a solution for the group, for the collectives. So we need to ensure that the young people are not only implementing government policies, but also they are trying to create new careers for themselves. So our projects include about 4,000 projects, proposals from all over Brazil. Each project will receive $5,000 in financial support. This model enables resources to directly reach various communities, including those far from the core cities, and also builds a platform for young people. So besides this, many of the communities can also have the mobile movie theaters and in sending cultural activities and movies to those remote areas. So it is not only about the entertainment. We can also have kind of discussions and communications after the showing. And the topics may involve many different aspects. And in this way, we can make medium for promoting communication and cultivating critical thinking skills. So I believe that this forum, the significance of volunteerism is definitely not only about helping others, but also creating a sense of belonging, life goals, and leadership. It makes young people realize that they have the capability to improve their living environment.
Thank you so much. Exactly. You know, the spirit of willing to participate is, of course, a must, but government support is also vital. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Mbi, over to you. I know your work takes place in a community affected by conflict, where simply getting children back to the classroom can be a major challenge. So what was the biggest obstacle you faced when, encouraging students to return to school? And when a school reopens, what are the changes you see in the lives of students and in their communities?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Yang. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tout le monde. So, in my community, where I come from, we face conflicts. And my organization, over the years, it's 80 years of conflict, we've been trying to bring back children to school. So one of the main challenges we've been facing is the security risks that we face. How do we overcome this? We work with the community leaders in the community, with our youth volunteers and our team. Together, we try to create safe spaces where these children can learn. And we have online mobile learning classes spaces that we have created in case the situation gets worse. So with that, children have been able to return to school. Like, we have scaled to 8 schools over the years too. We have tried to reach out to 8 schools, and we have seen the impact where many children have been able to return to school. Many children can read, they can now write, they are telling their story. That means through this volunteering team and our team, we have tried to revitalize, bring back hope. We use a holistic approach. First of all, we try to help them to come out from the trauma of these conflicts before trying to bring them to classroom to learn whatsoever is being taught in their classrooms. So that's what we have tried, and we are still doing, and we continue doing over the years and with time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's really powerful. It really shows that education doesn't just provide knowledge, it also restores confidence, stability, and hope, and also brings life back to the region. Now, Ms. Shan, over to you. You brought traditional Chinese medicine to communities in Laos and helped introduce it to local patients for the first time. We know that in healthcare, trust can sometimes be the biggest challenge. So how do you move patients from curiosity about Chinese medicine to genuine confidence in it? And what does it mean to you when you see local doctors begin practicing these skills independently?
感谢主持人。那各位全球的青年朋友们，大家好。
So global youth, dear moderator, I'm from the China TCM Hospital and also the affiliate Longhua Hospital. It's my great pleasure to share with you the story of the Mekong River. So in July 2025, I went to Laos as the vice director of our medical team. So I have brought with me a lot of silver needles for acupuncture, and at the Mehothos General Hospital in Laos, we provided 6 months of medical volunteer service. Today I want to share a story about the 30-year-old patient with facial paralysis. When he first came, his face was severely asymmetrical. He had shallow nasolabial folds, a drooping mouth corner, and drooled irregularly. So this greatly affected his work and life, especially in Laos where medical resources are limited. Such patients often cannot afford the check and treatment and thus suffer severe problems. I provided him acupuncture treatment, and after 3 weeks, he showed significant improvement. His facial appearance and daily living functions has basically recovered. He also thanked us by bringing glutinous rice flour and also the fried dough sticks, which are very precious locally. So this is a touching experience I have had. Over the half a year, I have received over 2,000 patients, most of them thanks to our acupuncture and massage treatment. They have greatly been relieved in terms of their pain and some of the symptoms. We have also relieved their financial burden. And this experience as a young volunteer has given me a deeper understanding of poverty alleviation. First, technological poverty alleviation. For me, my profession is the confidence of my service. In Laos, I applied acupuncture, blood transfusion, and acupuncture treatment into Chinese and English and Laos language contents. And I have taught 2 local doctors and over 40 interns. So it's a transition from blood transfusion to blood production in the metaphorical meaning. And secondly, cultural poverty alleviation. So in our spare time, we would have the spreading of medical knowledge through the training and communication sessions. And we have covered the population of 1,000 people. And gradually, traditional Chinese medicine has gained the confidence and knowledge of the general public and the local residents, and become the choice of treatment for many people. So from the Lancang River to the Mekong River, I carried a bag of silver needles, and on the land of Laos, it has been a rewarding journey for me also. So I'm willing to continue to be a seed and grow together with young people around the world on the fertile land of poverty alleviation.
2,000 patients in half a year, that passing it on moment is really meaningful. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Cecile, let me come to you. Your School for Social Transformation has brought learning beyond the classroom into real communities, encouraging students to learn through experience. So how does this kind of learning reshape young people's understanding of leadership? And can you share a story of a participant who turned that learning into real action?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's good to listen to all the stories that I've been listening over the past 2 days. It's really inspiring. So the School for Social Transformation was conceptualized around 2019 when I was sitting in Kochi. Kochi is a coastal city in Kerala, much like Wuhan, where there are around 44 rivers. So we were sitting together in Kochi and we were thinking about how volunteering may look like in the next decades. Can we transform volunteering into social entrepreneurship, social innovation, social change on a long term? And we kind of come up with a process where young people engage with volunteering as the first phase, and then they move into a transform phase where they learn about society, system thinking, and social change, and how to structure a social problem into a solution through design thinking. And after that, they should take up a social issue and try to find out a solution for it. We call it ACT phase. And then they are encouraged to start their own NGOs and social enterprises. So this is the process that we have come up with, because we believed, just with volunteering only, we may not be able to solve problems of a country like India. So we wanted to have diverse social problems, and young people will be solving social problems village by village, community by community, to realize the vision of Mahatma Gandhi. So we had a participant named Shiva. Shiva is actually the god of destruction. He destroy ego, and he come up with spiritual wisdom. So we had a participant named Shiva, who was from the south of India. He was trained as a lawyer, and he was good in art. He really liked to draw, make artistic creativity whenever he liked to do. So when he came for our program, and he engaged with some of the activities that was part of the process. So he realized that he wanted to do something with this art. He does not want to spend all his time being a lawyer. So after 2 years, he started a social enterprise named Michamidi, which is a Tamil word. We have a lot of languages in India. So Michamidi is a Tamil word, which means leftover treasure. So he started a social enterprise repurposing waste. So now he is employing a few women with livelihood. So what makes this process special in School for Social Transformation is because of, I would say, 4 reasons. One is experiential learning, where we take people out of their classroom. Even though we use PPT, we also use storytelling from the community members. We use case studies. At the same time, we engage in meditations. So the experiential learning process that we follow is one reason why the process is working well. And the second one is personal transformation. When it comes to social change, there are three agents, I would say. One is the person who's making the change, second one is the process, and third one is the community. Oftentimes, we ignore the person who's making the change. So in our program, we put much emphasis on the person who's making the change. We call it personal transformation. So having a focus in person is the second thing that worked with us. And the third one is the ecosystem approach. To identify a problem and to find a solution to work on something for a long run, it takes a lot of effort. Nothing can be solved by an overnight. So we approach the social problems and leadership with the ecosystem approach, where we have different components identified, from impact financing to culture to technology to knowledge. So we work on each of the components with the young leader from starting to the end. That also helps us to, transform a few young people to social innovators and entrepreneurs. And the last one is we work a lot with the people on a long run, 6 months to 12 months in an advanced phase, where we talk with them, we share with them, we walk with them, we tell stories. We put emphasis on each one of the young person's process. So maybe these four things are what helped, to realize the goals of the School for Social Transformation.
Thank you. There's a saying in China, and Ms. Shan was also quoting it. Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. So 授人以渔不如授人以渔. Cultivating local youth leaders is the key to achieving sustainable poverty reduction at a community level. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, Mr. Xiao, over to you. 您在鼓浪屿送了28年信，人称秦岛活地。
So I know that you have had 28 of experiences in Gulangyu, beginning from a single person to a group of delivery staff members. So my question is, how did you persuade the 52 delivery guys to join your team and to deliver volunteer work besides your very busy daily schedule?
Distinguished guests, youth. My name is Xiao Meibing from Xiamen Postal Service. I've been a postman on Gulangyu Island for 30 years. I'm also the captain and co-party branch secretary of our team. In the past years, every day we try our best to provide services for our community, particularly again and again. With our warmest efforts, we are able to provide residents with services possible. Before the service team was established, I and my colleagues would voluntarily do some small things for the island residents in need. But as more help was provided, under the guidance of the Postal Administration Department and CPC organization, in 2020, we officially established the volunteer service team. We integrated the employees of 9 express delivery companies on the island, turning spontaneous and random acts of kindness into organized, systematic, and standardized volunteer service team. On the island, in addition to express delivery, we carried out thousands of volunteer service, where tour guides, answering questions for tourists, telling story culture of Gulangyu Island. We're also public welfare messengers, helping elderly people, accompanying them to hospital, provide door-to-door free medical consultations, provide help to elderly people, ensure their livelihood. We try to solve problems in a timely manner at doorsteps for our residents. We also serve as security guards, spotting potential fraud risks. Before typhoon, we would remind our residents to close their doors and windows. Later, more and more residents participated in our volunteer service. Kindness has been passed on. A near neighbor is better than a distant relative came true. Today, I want to say there are tens of thousands of delivery workers like us in China. We are not only the fabric of the city, but also try to do our best to contribute to the city. I would say no one is born brilliant, but some always move forward towards the light. You should be the light and give light. Chase our
Very well said. Thank you so
dreams
much.
through light.
Extraordinary commitments lies within ordinary roles. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Xiao. 谢谢xiao先生. And finally, Debbie, your work focuses on the rural and marginalized communities in Ireland, many of which face challenges that are not visible from the outside. So why do you believe these community-based solutions can, achieve more lasting results than the traditional forms of assistance? And can you share an example that illustrates this transformation?
So good morning, everybody. My name is Debbie, and I'm the founder of Blackwater Training in Ireland. Let me start with the name Blackwater. It's actually the name of the river in our community, which brings life, prosperity, and growth to the people in our community. Our town has 3,000 individuals, and many of the people that we work with live on the margins of poverty. We work with individuals seeking international protection, unemployed individuals. We work with people that are touched by addiction in the community, and Indigenous members, such as members of the travelling community. But what makes our services quite unique is that everything that we do is based on needs analysis. So we go and we speak directly to our community members and ask them what the challenges they face are. So this has enabled us to create 3 main pillars of work that we are actively promoting. Our first is on civic integration. So in order to be active citizens within our community, we must, as youth leaders and members of our community, knock on the doors of politicians. We invite them to our events to speak. We go to their offices. We promote the challenges that we face. Our second pillar is on social activities. So we have been quite fortunate to be in receipt of numerous Erasmus Plus programs, one of them which was called Beyond. It has finalised now. But upon listening to the young people in our community, they wanted social activities. So we created a board game cafe in our community, and we hope that this board game cafe will bring activities to the community. We also work with individuals seeking international protection and have organised a 12-week football camp for them in order to improve their mental health. Our final pillar is all about economic integration. So as a lot of our individuals are migrants, English might not be their first language, so we provide English language classes, but we also provide resume activities. So we help individuals create a resume that works for the Irish market while supporting them with interview preparation skills. In summing up my discussion, I would like to speak directly to the young people in this room. Abby asked me about the hidden difficulties that we might face. I am a breastfeeding mother, and I also have a hidden disability called fibromyalgia. I use these as my strengths to work forward to make changes in the communities, because if I don't speak on the challenges that I face as a woman who's advocating for change, I'm going to be left behind in my society. So it's important that you, as young people, you are in a room full of change makers here, policy makers, professionals. Find one person in this room who can be your mentor. Make a change, because if you don't become the change maker of the world, how do we know that the future will survive? So be the change maker that you want to be in the world. Shishia.
Thank you so much. You'll always find answers to your problem. Thank you so much for everyone for sharing your stories with us. Each experience highlights a different path toward poverty reduction, but they all share a common goal, that is the power of people helping people. Now I'd like to open the floor to our audience. If you have a question, a reflection, or perhaps a story of your own to share, please raise your hand and our staff will give you a mic. Anyone? I see a hand over there. Yes, please.
Hello, distinguished guests. Daja Hao. So my name is Akash. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm studying in Hubei University of Technology. So as I'm a volunteer captain in my school. Oh, sorry.
Yes, could you please stand up so everybody can see you?
Sorry. So I'm a volunteering captain in my school. So when I was working with a volunteering team or working in the community, I always feel like we work as one. So when we work with them, it feels like, how can I explain? Like we share like a same heart, you know, like we share the same feeling. As a volunteers, we think like if we can help someone, we can maybe make them smile, we will feel better. So my question is to our guests, like how to persuade other people to join our, like be a volunteer. Thank you.
Is there a particular guest you want to ask to?
Maybe Xiao Xingxiang.
Mr. Xiao, so that question is directed to you. Can you answer it?
好，谢谢。刚才您说的，在志愿者当中，你在做志愿者的时候，你很喜欢这个氛围。其实中国的志愿者“志”字就告诉你了，那个真谛。志字上面是士，下面是心，就是有心之士啊，他就能成为志愿者。
It combines with ambition and a heart in
在志愿者的
Chinese character.
你是感觉到那种是有
So
温暖、
throughout the
积极向上
process,
的氛
there's
围的。
warmth, there's
我
positivity.
觉得很多时候，
It seems
正
that
确的事情啊，
the
对的
right
事情啊，
thing
做就对了，不要想太多，
is what you
你会越
need.
做越好，越做越
Don't
有能
overthink
量
it.
谢谢。
Just do it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Xiao.
You will
谢谢肖
feel
先生
so
and
much
thank you so
better
much for your reflection. It's
doing
always
it.
inspiring to hear different voice join this conversation. Now, I think we only have time for this one question. Well, thank you so much, and many thanks again to all of our speakers sharing your experience and stories with us. And we hope this forum is not the end of this conversation, but the beginning of new partnerships, new ideas, and new actions, because when young people work together across borders, across communities, and across cultures, they become a powerful force for sustainable development. Well, thank you so much again, and thank you for listening. Now, I think I'd like to pass things to Tianyi for our next segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Xinmeng. Thank you to all participants in the dialogue for insights shared today. Through these in-depth discussions, we have put theoretical wisdom and practical experience on leveraging volunteerism for poverty reduction. I believe everyone has gained a lot. So next, please welcome Mr. Qi Hu, Vice President and Secretary General of the Chinese Young Volunteers Association, to present the outcomes of this thematic forum. Welcome.